As you may have heard today, June 30th, the Supreme Court affirmed birthright citizenship and threw out President Trump's executive order saying that it shouldn't apply to the children of undocumented immigrants in a kind of 6-3, kind of 5-4 decision. I'm PhDRachel. Let's talk birthright citizenship, and my historians are still a little concerned about this decision. Now, while the concept of birthright citizenship certainly predates the 14th Amendment in the United States, it is the 14th Amendment after the Civil War, one of the two Reconstruction Amendments, that adds it explicitly into the U.S. Constitution. When the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified and added to the U.S. Constitution, there were two groups that were not covered by birthright citizenship. The first were Native Americans, who were not considered citizens, could not become citizens unless there was a specific deal made with their nation. So that's going to be handled nation by nation until 1924, when we get a federal law that makes all Native Americans U.S. citizens, whether they want it or not. The other group that is not granted birthright citizenship are the children of American diplomats, so diplomats in the United States that are not subject to U.S. law. If their children are born in the U.S., they are not U.S. citizens. What Donald Trump was trying to do was to say that undocumented immigrants are not subject to U.S. law, which is not true, and that therefore their children should not be citizens either. So the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 against Donald Trump in this executive order, although Kavanaugh joins this group, but he says the order actually violates congressional statute, not the 14th Amendment itself. And then they rule 5-4 that the Constitution, including that 14th Amendment, protects birthright citizenship for the children of all immigrants. Now, historically, that is the correct decision. Like, we have all of the debates of the people who passed the 14th Amendment, who ratified the 14th Amendment. They argued about immigrant groups. They argued about people they considered racially and culturally inferior showing up in the United States, not being here for very long, and whether or not they should get birthright citizenship. And the answer amongst the group that passed this is resoundingly yes. Which is why historians and legal experts are a little concerned here, right? The Supreme Court's 5-4 vote in the birthright citizenship case is a scandal. And Mark Joseph Stern suggests they're wanting a roadmap straight back to Dred Scott, which infamously argued that Black people could not ever be citizens of the United States. Sherilyn Ifill gives us some of these concerns as well, saying that the court left the status of a fundamental, explicitly articulated constitutional right uncertain for over a year, all to affirm what was clear from the start, right? Birthright citizenship cannot be abridged, at least not by an executive order. Ifill does an amazing job putting into historical context why this decision is so disturbing. This was a close case for this court. As it stands, the decision is 6-3. In 1898, the court's decision protecting birthright citizenship, one Kim Ark v. U.S., about an Asian man and birthright citizenship, was 6-2. That means this Supreme Court in 2026 is either on par with or to the right of the 1898 court. That is the same court that decided Plessy v. Ferguson, giving us multiple generations of Jim Crow segregation, which they argued was constitutional under their reading of the 14th Amendment. And she connects this to other cases by the court in which they have reined in or dismantled the powers of the 14th Amendment, including Calais, which is the voting rights case. So in what in the 21st century really should have been a 9-0 decision was a 6-3/5-4 decision, depending on how you look at it. We are one vote on the Supreme Court away from them just deciding the 14th Amendment doesn't mean what it says, when we have all of the historical evidence that it absolutely means what it says. Yes, even when it comes to undocumented immigrants. Yes, even when it comes to people who haven't been in the country very long. A solid third of the court is tying itself into knots to get around the plain reading of the text because they don't like politically what it means for their side today. That is dangerous. So I'm very hesitant for any representatives that I see taking a victory lap on this one today. I think if you think this is a resounding victory, you have not read the opinion, or you're not looking at the vote tallies. You're not understanding that this is not the final case. Right? They are going to try this again. They still want to dismantle birthright citizenship and all of the protections of the 14th Amendment for citizens as well. And that this is not over. And we should be concerned, and we should vote like we're concerned, and we should write our representatives like we're concerned, and we should act like Americans who are concerned.